Can you see that? I literally look like an extra from 28 Days Later, don't I? I don't even know why. I looked fine. Then I got in the shower and then I got out and my eyes were bloodshot as hell. Okay, never mind. Anyway, try and ignore it. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. Do you ever have one of those times when you have a conversation with someone that you've actually known for ages and then they drop either a personality trait or something about them and you just go, I never knew that. That's happened to me several times this week. So I thought I'd talk to you guys about it. This week, a lot of my family members got together for a family celebration, and it meant that there was lots of, family members from all over the place that don't necessarily see each other very often because we all live in different parts of the country, and in fact, the world. An auntie of mine actually flew over from America for this, so it was pretty big. But it led to conversations with people who you think you know, and then you realise, wow, there's something about you that I never even knew. One of those conversations was one of my family members who lives quite far away was staying with me the night before this event because they had to travel quite far. And we thought, let's go for dinner the night before and have a good old catch up. And as we were sitting at the dinner table in the restaurant, we were having a conversation about clothes. This member of my family was basically saying about how they had to buy a new skirt for this event because they were essentially too fat for their words, not mine, for what they already owned, and so they bought a new one for it. And that led to a really interesting conversation because I was like looking at this person like the whole time they were talking about being, fat, and I was like what? Like, I'd always thought of this person as being like one of the skinny ones in the family. Like, I'm not talking about skinny as in like eating disorder level of skinny. I'm talking like, I've always thought this person as being like super slender, and I'll be quite honest, for years I was very envious of this person's physique because I was like, I've always looked at this person as being the slim one, and I've always thought of myself as being like, the chunkier one. And it was really interesting because this person, like, the way they describe me is like I'm some sort of like gazelle type model careering down the road and stuff. And yet then there's me looking at this person and thinking like, look at her. She's so like, I love her physique. I think she's like in and out in all the right places, but she's slim and she's petite and she's like cutesy. I think that's a lot to do with her height because she's like substantially shorter than I am. It was really interesting and a bit eye-opening, the fact that I'm sitting there thinking like, I think that she's like, oh wow, she's so slim, and she's like, oh no, I'm so fat. Oh, I'm so fat. And I'm like, huh? Yeah. Anyway, obviously there's the way that we see ourselves and see each other in terms of our physique. Like you might look at yourself and think like, like for me, for example, there's two parts of my body that I can't stand, to be quite honest. One of them is actually under my eyes. This little lines under my eyes. I don't have like bags under my eyes. It looks like someone's like sliced under my eyes. And it's been that way since I was a child. It's not even because I'm tired. It's nothing to do with that. It's just, it is what it is. And I hate it because it's on my face and there's nothing I can do about it. And the other one is actually this is the perfect top to wear for this video. It's under my armpits. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but I hate this bit under my armpits. I always have. In fact, I have very few of this type of top, and usually when I wear this kind of strappy top, I wear it, I was actually wearing a cardigan, but with the ring light, it's just too hot in a cardigan, so I had to take it off, and I mean, it is what it is. Fine, whatever. But it's funny how like the way we perceive ourselves and the way other people perceive us. I'm sure I'd like to think that nobody's ever looked at my armpits and gone, man, that girl's got fat armpits. But do you know what I mean? It's what's in our own minds. Then another conversation, this one again was one that like was really like, whoa, this is shocking. I mean, this is more shocking to the other person than it was to me. But it was that at this family do, I had to do a reading. And so I was asked very kindly to do this reading, and I was all for it because I was enjoying being part of the ceremony, and I was like, oh yes, I'll do this totally. But I was also cacking my pants about it because it meant I had to get up in front of everybody, in front of a whole church of people, and do a reading which is not in like today's language either. And yeah, I know everyone's gonna be looking at this going, oh, but you speak to a camera. Yeah, but the difference is, like, with the camera and everything, I can just, if I fluff up, which I do on a regular basis, I can just cut it and edit it, and only once it's ready will it go out there. Whereas when you're standing in a church and you're reading something that's not your own words, everybody's looking at you, and it's something you've been asked to do. And then especially made even worse when somebody comes up to you and says, by the way, this is going to be going out on Facebook Live. Yeah, that. I was terrified, but I did it. And afterwards, this person came to me, and she's just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing it. It was really great. You read so well. And I was like, oh yeah, well, I was actually like, I was cacking it, basically, is pretty much the words I used. And she was like, what? Like, seriously? I was like, yeah. She's like, but you get nervous with public speaking? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I was talking to one of my siblings before doing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this thing. I'm getting really like, I can't breathe. And then she was just like, I can't even envision you being nervous about something like that, because the way you come across so confidently, and so, well, yeah, confidently, I suppose, is the perfect word. And I was like, yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that. But yeah, actually, yeah, I really am. I'm not confident in the slightest. I get very anxious about certain things. I get social anxiety as well. Like, if I'm going to go out for an evening or something, quite often before I actually go, I start thinking, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go because there'll be too many people there, and I get really nervous about it. And then I go and I have a great time, and it's fine. But and then obviously YouTube videos as well. You know, here's me talking to you guys. Hi, everybody. And that's another part of it. And obviously, I mean, I've been on national television. I've had millions of people watching me. But the difference is, it's all edited, you know, it's all like lights and cameras, and it's, you know, it's edited. But even back when I was in my ute, even then, like, I've done stage shows and things and had no problem with that either. But I think it's sort of like a big front that we put over ourselves to be able to do these things. I guess my front is just really freaking convincing. And I was absolutely honoured to be asked, and I was totally on board with doing it, absolutely. But internally, you know, and the insides are going, oh, and you're thinking, do I need a nervous poo? But yeah, anyway, so it was really interesting to have this conversation with this person who's known me for years. I'm talking well in excess of 10 years. And this person's like, oh my gosh, you come across so confidently. And the conversation also flipped the other way around as well, because, sorry if it's just got a bit dark, by the way. This is Britain all over. 1 minute sunshine and the next minute it's like dark clouds, but hey, we will continue. So yeah, it goes the other way around as well, because the conversation with this person like flipped over the other side as well, because sometimes this person will say something to me and I'm like something that shows that she's actually a very, like, she'll look inside herself and maybe doubt something she'll say, or she'll be a bit anxious about something, or just feel generally a bit, and overthink things, which doesn't convey in how she looks and how she carries herself. I've always looked at this person and I've always thought she looks like a model. I don't mean just she's pretty, because that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to her stance, the way she carries herself, the way she dresses, her hair, her nails, her ability to wear high heels like 24 hours a day. She wears high heels like people on TV wear high heels, and I'm thinking, the second I walk through the front door, if I was wearing high heels, they'd be off. Whereas this person, I swear she wears high heels instead of slippers. I'm sure I'm wrong about that. But that's how I perceive her. You know, I think of her as being glamorous and elegant 24 hours a day. And yet, maybe she's not. Maybe she also puts a pair of tracky bottoms on and the hoodie at the end of the day and just slobs around. I don't know. I've never seen her behind closed doors in that way. So maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I'm interested to know though. I'm really interested to know. I might even text her now and say, do you own a tracksuit? But anyway, the point I'm making is simply this. It's just the fact that you just don't know, like, what that person, like how people perceive you and how you perceive other people isn't necessarily true to like how things really are inside, you know. So I look at this person and I go, oh my gosh, she looks like a supermodel and she looks super glamorous all the time. And she looks at me and thinks, oh my gosh, look at her, she's so confident. And really, like, I'm such an anxiety, just ball of anxiousness inside at all times. And she has a lot of, you know, self-doubt and stuff as well. It's crazy. And then the other person who thinks she's fat, and I look at her thinking like she's slim as hell. But anyway, yeah. And then also within the same period of time, so within the same week to 2 weeks-ish, I also had 2 phone calls with friends of mine who are close friends. These are people who I've known minimum of a decade, definitely longer than a decade actually. There's a third conversation too, but I won't bore you with a third one. I'll just give you a couple of examples. And that is also how we perceive people's lives. Now, one of these conversations actually spurred on from my video that I made about loneliness, because if you haven't seen it and you're interested, I'll like tag it at the end or whatever. But one of these conversations came up from that video because I've got a lot of friends who I have predominantly maintained a friendship on the telephone, on the telephone, darling. Hello. Sorry. Maintain relationships with on the phone because I've moved around, other people move around, but we've maintained the friendships just by, you know, texts, calls, voice notes, stuff like that. And so I'm in regular contact with both of the people that I'm about to tell you about. But it's the thing with that kind of situation where you don't physically see each other on a regular basis is that you're only going to know what they tell you. You know, they are only going to tell you what they're going to tell you. And these are both close friendships, and they're both people who have told me their like deepest, darkest. And I have told them my deepest, darkest over the years. But then it still comes up where you think like, oh wow, there's more, you know, there's more. So one of these people contacted me. They'd seen my video on loneliness and they were quite, you know, surprised at how much it had like struck a chord, and were like, oh wow, there's, you know, yeah, you really don't know. And so we had a nice long catch-up conversation, and this person, I view this person as having like the perfect family unit. You know, I look at this person as like they've got like the perfect life. You know, they've got their partner, they've got their kids, they've got everything they've ever wanted, and they look happy and fulfilled. And yes, they are happy and fulfilled, and they love their family, and it's great. But then there is parts, like coming up in that conversation, it was clear that there are also parts that they are struggling with. And I was like, wow, see, there you go. You've also got this person who, like, I'm looking at this person thinking, wow, like, they've really got their whole life there. And then actually there's, like, certain aspects of their life where they're feeling, like, empty for certain points of their life. They're very happy and fulfilled in general, but there's certain points of their life where it's, like, actually, it's also a struggle too. And anyway, we talked through it, and I gave my words of wisdom and stuff like that, and I'm making sure I check in and stuff as well. And it's eye-opening as well, because I know that there's lots of people who look at me and they think, oh my gosh, look at her, she travels and she flits over here and she flits over there, and they all think like she's got it together because she knows where she's going. And yet, despite the fact that even the playlist that these videos on YouTube have been going up on is called what do I want to be when I grow up? You know, like, I don't have my shit together, okay? I do not. I'm so far from having my stuff together, so far. But people, like, some people do look at me and think, oh yeah, she knows what she wants from life. I don't have a clue, all right? Not a clue. I feel like I've just like stuck my hand in a lucky dip and pulled out whatever's come out for most of the things that have happened in my life, okay? That's how I feel about my life. I feel like it's completely out of control and I have no clue what's going on. Also partly why I have this channel, because it gives me a chance to spew. You know, what's in here goes spew. Yeah, so I'm not thinking about it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking about it on here, and then I go to bed and I sleep happily. But yes, and the last conversation I want to tell you about as well is the fact that sometimes things change in people's lives and you don't even necessarily notice. Now, it's not your fault that you haven't noticed, because again, as I said, it's the fact of if they haven't told you, because things may have changed for them that you've not been made aware of if you're, you know, a friend or whatever. Because that's another conversation I had with someone who I speak to regularly. This person is someone I speak to very regularly, and it was crazy, the fact that, you know, this thing that they'd been struggling with had come out in one conversation that they'd not shared previously. You know, you're like, hey, how are you? How's things? Yeah, all good. Everything's fine. Yeah, great. But really, for quite a long time, they've been struggling with something really, really heavy. Yeah. So this person, when I first met them, they had their job, but they didn't really have anything else in particular going for them. It was just, you know, youthfulness of like, oh, hey, I've got my job and I'm just doing my thing, you know, whatever. But since then, in recent years, they've really, this person's got their stuff together. They met their partner and they've got a child with them, and they have now bought a house together and they've gotten engaged. And this person, I could not be prouder of this person, because they are smashing the crap out of that glass ceiling. Honestly, this person is just like it's like she can do anything, you know. She's just like, I'm gonna do that. And I don't want to say like I'm envious, because that almost sounds as if like oh, I want what they've got. They shouldn't have it, I should have it. I mean, I'm proud. I'm massively proud of this person, because they just, it's like water off a duck's back as well. Anything that goes wrong, I've seen them cry once and they got over it. As soon as they had a cry on my shoulder, there, it's okay. And then they were like, okay, onwards. And I've always been like proud of that, and also impressed with their ability to just like, you know, crack on. And I think that's amazing. But then I was having this conversation, and I don't know how it came out in conversation. Actually, I think it came out in conversation because there was something that I'd mentioned that had happened with something to do with someone else in my life who'd gone through something similar that this person then said about. Sorry, I'm not going to tell you the exact details, because in case any of my friends are watching this and they think, hang on a minute, and then they twig which friend it is, and then I've totally given away their secrets. But hey, yeah. And then in this conversation they said, actually, do you know what? Yeah, I've been struggling with that. And I was like, what? You never said. Like, we spoke literally 2 days ago and you said like, oh yeah, everything's fine, I'm doing this, that, the other, and everything's cool. And they're like, yeah. Yep. Their partner basically had a full-blown mental health breakdown, and they've been really, really struggling. They're very much, you know, united together, but they've been struggling to get through it and to make steps to fix the situation. And they've been struggling so much that they've ended up having to go to, you know, groups to support them and everything, like as a family member of somebody who's going through something really traumatic and severe. And they've been taking on, you know, obviously they've got their career, which is just going crazily well, but then they've also got the they're taking on a lot more of the childcare, and obviously, you know, money's tight and everything for everybody these days, but they've got their house that they're trying to deal with and everything as well. And so it's just like, wow, like if that person hadn't let slip that one little thing, then I would never have known. I would have still been looking at them going, your life's perfect. Oh my God, it's so amazing. Anyway, I suppose the moral of today's story is A, don't judge a book by its cover, and B, you really never know what's going on like behind closed doors or beneath the surface. So scratch away at that surface and see what's going on underneath. And also don't look at everyone else going, oh my God, your life's so amazing, because hey, it might not be so amazing. Just, I mean, obviously support each other, that's cool, and open up to each other, because that's also cool, because now the people who've opened up to me about these things this week purely from, well, some of them purely from watching my video and going, actually, guess what? I've been hiding something that I've been struggling with. And others just through pure coincidence. And I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but I'm sure you get the drift. So yeah, that. Anyway, so if you've been struggling with anything, talk to people. And if you haven't, good for you. But who knows who else is. And don't be envious of anyone, because you never know what's going on in their life for real. I mean, we all know those people who've got like this amazing Instagram life, and then you realise it's just a green screen. That happens. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. And hopefully I'll see you next week with some other absolute nonsense. But take care. Bye-bye.